This is Coda Radio, episode 578 for July 9th, 2024. Hello, friend, and welcome in to Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show, taking a pragmatic look at the art and the business of software development, the whole world of technology. My name is Chris, and joining me over there in the delightful state of Florida, it's our host, Mr. Dominic. Hello, Mike.
What's up? It's 4,000 degrees, and so it's just Tuesday in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? 'Tis the cycle of life, right? Could be worse. You could be walking around with a fur coat, like my dog is right now. It's got to be worse.
True. My poor dog.
Yeah. Now, I know you and I, we're watching our figures. You know how it is. As you get a little older, you got to be careful. But if you would allow, I'd like to start right off the top with a little bacon. We got some fresh German-flavored bacon. And this is interesting, I just think, because your, I think, underlying comment from WWDC was it felt like a show for the stockholders and for Wall Street and not one actually for developers. Remember you said that?
I do recall, yep.
Well, Gurman is reporting that most of the fancy Apple Intelligence features, like a new Siri, won't be available until iOS 18.4. So not 18.0,
It's a good
not
halfway
18.1.
through the cycle, yep.
Yeah, halfway through. They will maybe have a beta for developers next January with the features ready to test.
Yeah, so this is going to be a theme that I think runs through both shows we're recording today about. So I've been trying to coin a term, Chris. Can I try it out on you?
Yes.
I remember, really, it's a work in progress. I was thinking about it all morning. Investment advisor or investment analyst-oriented pageantry. And by that I mean, and it's rough. I got to work on something quicker for Twitter to annoy people and get retweets because people are mad.
Right.
Because that is literally how I get web traffic. All these tech companies seem to just be like announcing that doesn't exist because they need to bump up their inflated stock price. And I know we're going to have something on this later in the show, but in your mind, is this not just another symptom of the massive, drunk money hangover? Because the stock prices are just too high.
Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
But I do think this proves your thesis that, it was really a dog and pony show for investors.
Oh, no. This was a Mexican donkey show.
Okay. That's worse or is that better?
Do you know what a Mexican donkey show is?
It sounds like a good time.
It sounds like if I describe it, they'll take us right off iTunes. So I'm not going to do
right.
it.
Maybe I'll just ask ChatGPT.
If you're going to Google that and you don't want to piss off your wife, I would do that in private browsing mode for sure.
Oh.
But your ISP will always know.
That does sound like a good time then.
If you're the donkey,
if it's something you got to do in private browsing. Okay. All right. So I just think so if you're on the iOS platform, I mean, I just don't know if you're actually, you're really dying to get these features, but I just think it was a little disingenuous of Apple to say that they're part of iOS 18. They didn't really lay out a timeline now that I think back through it, so I can't accuse them of claiming it would be out in the fall.
Well, but this is like, like Hillary Clinton when she was a lawyer level lawyering here. It is part of iOS 18. You didn't ask me the right question. Is it part of iOS 18.0? Totally not a false statement, right? Do
you want to make a prediction? I think I don't know. What do you think the odds are it ships before next year's WWDC?
Ooh, that would be a bold move to not do it.
I'm just thinking about this. They move so slow these days. And if I were Apple and I were going to MVP the shit out of this, I would focus on just Siri at first. Get your credibility back with Siri. You want an experience where somebody uses Siri for something and it actually does the thing really well. And it goes above and beyond expectations. And you could just nail that with ChatGPT at 4.0 integration and ship that with iOS 18.0. I mean, in theory, right? Because they're relying on the APIs.
They won't do that.
I'm sure it's harder than this, but it's not like they have to build their own system with this cloud private stuff and chips on the device. Like they just need to call an API. They could make Siri actually usable to give people faith in Apple's AI chops and ship that potentially right away.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this deal a lot. Again, I've been reading the coverage and listening to the coverage, and if Sam Altman didn't used to run Y Combinator, I'm pretty sure Apple would be loath to deal with him because of the, and this is a technical term, folks, ickiness of OpenAI. There's like if you believe even, I don't know, 30% of Apple's marketing stuff about their values and privacy and respecting the user, and then you look at OpenAI, this is a marriage that probably is it's like the Mormon pastor marrying the stripper, right? This doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
It's probably not going to last more than 5 years.
Well, I feel like the partner they really wanted was Google. The devil they know, right? Like we pretend, and we're guilty of this on the show, that Apple, Microsoft, and Google all hate each other, which is like kind of true. But in fact, they're the old guard, right? They know each other. Like it's not.
I could have seen them. Honestly, I could have seen them making a deal with Microsoft and letting Microsoft run interference on the back end deals between the different companies. Apple just cuts Microsoft a check for Azure services or something.
I think like in a year when all the people leak and they write their memoirs, maybe it's 2 years, 3 years, who knows? We're going to find out that Apple dragged their feet and did this last minute OpenAI deal. Because my thesis, they needed to not let the stock price sink because for whatever reason, CNBC just wants to talk about AI, and I'm getting a little more bearish on it because it's just, where's the beef, right? I'm the girl from the Wendy's commercial.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You should. I think there's still time to make some money here, Mike, because Ariana Huffington, yes,
oh gosh,
from the Huffington Post, and Sam Altman today announced that they are co-creating.
That's like the duo from hell, by the dynamic duo of evil. But keep going.
I think you mean well-respected medical professionals, Mike, and they are announcing a personal life coach AI that you're going to be able. Yeah,
no, so I'm pretty good with my very specifically well-trained cardiologist. Thank you.
No. Look, I listened to Ariana. She made it real clear. We're not really good at taking care of ourselves, and sometimes we just need a little coaching. They're not going to make medical recommendations, and she said this. She implicitly said this, so there's no need for regulators to get involved.
Oh, of course.
But we are going to do wellness coaching.
What does that mean?
Well, it's a very vague, undefined area that you can make a lot of money on, and there's a stroke of absolute cynical brilliance through the entire product idea. Get ready for this.
Oh God,
they've come up with a way to sell this thing at tens of thousands of units without the user ever having to actually get any value from it. Because, I've tried these. Specifically, I tried one, I think I talked about it on the show, for ADD. That's like a ADD coach. And, when you're having a hard time getting started on a big job or something, you're supposed to go talk to this thing, and it coaches you along, right? Well, it's an LLM, Mike. So guess what it does? It basically just tells me the crap I would have gotten from like a Google Knowledge card. Take frequent breaks, get good sleep, consider talking to a medical professional. And this thing wanted a monthly subscription fee. And I tried a trial of it and canceled it immediately. It was completely not useful. Just as this thing will be completely not useful because all it can do is regurgitate stuff that the LLM knows. But they've come up with a cynical bit of brilliance where they're going to sell this product to businesses and companies that are then going to turn around and offer it as a perk to work at the company. So you'll get like your medical benefits, and one of the things that they'll get to claim that they're providing you is this wellness AI coach. It doesn't matter if it sucks because the customer isn't the end user. The customer is the business who just wants to be able to list a fancy tech-forward perk so they get to look like a high-tech company that offers AI wellness to their staff. It's brilliant. And it never actually has to work very well. It's so smart. It's cynically smart because it recognizes the limitations of these LLMs, pivots around that to still make incredible revenue and have long-term contracts. And, all they have to do is report users because when they sell this thing to a company that has, 1,000 staff, then they're going to create 1,000 accounts. So they'll just have tens of thousands of accounts with this thing, and they'll have all these companies paying for something that stinks. And if it works at all, like the existing health insurance system does, I can now say, having been on a leadership board, the company, at least here in the United States, gets numbers. We don't get names, as far as I know, but we get numbers. So we knew exactly how many people are on antidepressants, how many people were taking what pills, not who, but how many people had of what, people going to the doctor. And we could even measure when we really pushed, like on a sprint to build something, like when we had to like pivot really hard and build, we could actually track when there was a jump in anti-anxiety prescriptions inside the company.
So how much distress the sprint was putting the...
Yes. Yeah. And I don't think the staff had any idea we knew this information. And you could see how a AI wellness coach could keep track of maybe not the names of people, but how many people complained about management.
Right, you could figure it out. Like how many people at this level are, oh my God, I could see so many evil uses for it, right?
And you could automate it, right? Because you have the whole transcription, and then you can do inference from that. And the AI is smart enough to categorize what's an angry conversation, what's something talking about management, and just auto-generate a dashboard and reports for the company you're selling this product to.
My mind just went to a super dark place. There are shady companies out there that will use this to find out which of their female employees are considering or attempting to become pregnant and try to terminate them before they do, because in most states, the law, at least in the U.S., is you cannot fire someone on parental leave.
I could see all kinds of manipulation you could use.
I could see all kinds of bull, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, somebody jacked up our payments on insurance because they have, God forbid, HIV. Well, let's try to figure out who that is, right? Like, we can find a reason to get rid of them. That's really evil. I hate this. I will tell you, I have a similar program I'm using. It's called, every couple of weeks, I go to Quest Diagnostics. I get a blood test. They test all my heart enzymes and all that. The doctor, very specialized doctor, great lady, what do they call this? A nurse practitioner? Is that right?
Yeah.
Calls me and is like, you're good. You're bad. Less salt, less caffeine, whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's what people really need, is they need a human medical expert. This is going to reduce that, because you're going to be able to claim, well, look, we have a hyper-personalized coach for you. And, it's hyper-personalized.
It's never going to be the same, though, because the AI is never going to understand that, like, okay, but I'll use myself because I think it's, not right to use other people in this kind of thing. Okay, well, this drug may have fixed the blood issue, but I also have a hard time waking up. So can we dial it back? Like, it's a science, but you got to play with it, right?
And you need maybe somebody who's
empathetic,
has a little expertise,
right?
Understands
it
the
is
situation
human
a little bit,
and could be like, I get how being unable to wake up could be a problem for you. Or
totally
feeling, I don't think AI has a good role in this space. It can't figure out freaking DNS issues still.
So just a little bit of information. A gentleman that worked at Google, I think maybe in Google Health, I'm not sure. He recently left and became the CEO of Thrive AI Health.
I heard that, yeah.
Thrive AI is one of the companies investing in this whole thing. And then another big chunk of money is coming from OpenAI's own investment fund. So it's like Sam's got his hand in this, and some of the funding money is coming from OpenAI. And I think, I'm not as worried about all the doomsday scenarios. I think it's just more likely to be not that useful, having tried one of these. In a similar, it could be better, but my guess is it's not going to be that useful, but it'll justify even a further reduction in people that get to go see a doctor, how many, people are available to actually speak to you, things like that. I feel like this is probably not a good long-term trend for actual good care.
Yeah.
Not to mention, these things are always going to be working on old information. And so, maybe that works for a lot of things, but then you end up in a situation like a pandemic where things are changing very fluidly and very rapidly. And this thing's telling you medical advice from 2021. There's just things in there that I think are probably not going to work well. But there's one stat they've been throwing around. 129 million Americans have chronic disease and consume 90% of the $4.1 trillion annual healthcare spending in the United States. And so their pitch is that they can improve daily habits and outcomes and reduce that overall spending. 129 million Americans have chronic diseases that consume 90% of the $4.1 trillion annual healthcare spend. and they're they're not going to reduce that,
You can't. How could you?
right? But they can take, and they're going to take a real stat, and they're going to claim, well, if enough people used our hyper personalized AI health agent to improve their daily habits, we could start reducing that number. But this thing's just going to tell you to go out for a walk and drink more water, right? You already know these things. It's just going to tell you all this stuff that is like kind of safe for it to say, but doesn't cross a line. And what we really need is something that can actually give you solid advice. And I don't know, it just seems so cynical. And then the fact that they're going to be selling it to businesses,
Oh, I hate that.
so they're not going to live and die on the user experience means it's probably just going to always be doomed as crap.
Do you know doctors do more than just write prescriptions and order surgeries, right? Like there's a good doctor. You know this, when you have a serious medical problem, you need the doctor to make you feel better about it, right? Like to make you feel optimistic, right? Willing to carry on.
Yeah. Of course, on the flip side, I've also had doctors freak me the hell out.
Yes, those are bad doctors,
Yes.
though. Right, that's what I'm saying. Those are like I keep mentioning her. I love my doctor because she, like for me, I respond well to her being a super bitch because it's just something I'm used to.
I mean, you do like a lady that'll put you in your place, it seems,
I like letters that begin with B and end in M. Joking. Or am I?
No, I'm thinking of what's-her-face, the Admiral from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, first of all, not an admiral.
Rosalind.
Madam President
Rosalind.
Rosalind, who
Right, sorry, my bad.
my wife looks shockingly like, and we will just leave that where it is. So, time to thank the Coder QA crew.
Coder.show/membership and Coder.show/boost. 2 ways you can support the show directly. And there's something really unique when you do that. You're making it possible not only for the show to keep going when we have no sponsor, but, to actually pay for the production and afford to do so. And beyond that, say no. We still have the optionality, thanks to our members and our boosters, to say no to random ads and crap that comes through the inbox from time to time, which happens. And it's nice to have that flexibility. If you think about it, it's kind of a unique thing that you could really only achieve with podcasting, where you can have a lean, mean production. There's not really another mass medium like this that could afford to have a business model like this. And then you combine that with podcasting's unique, totally free, open standards distribution mechanism, which is also very unique in media, and the fact that something like the Boost system is totally decentralized, open source, and self-hosted as well. It's an incredible combination, and it's also empowering audience members to support productions that might be niche, but are worth supporting to them. And so that's why we call it a value-for-value production. We just ask for a little bit of your time, a little bit of your talent, or a little bit of your treasure, whichever one you can afford, just to help keep the show going. The value you get from the show, you give back. And you can do that either with a monthly membership, coder.show/membership. There may be a Darth Jar Jar promo code or two that sneak back in there. And of course, you can boost each episode. Not only does that get your message on the show, but that immediately gets split out amongst the various folks behind the scenes, but also a little bit goes to the app developer and a little bit goes to the Podcasting 2.0 project to make all of those things sustainable too, without any kind of creepy ads or tracking or backroom deals to sell data. It's all just baked right in there as part of the standard. It's pretty awesome. So thanks for your support, and you can find that at the Coder Radio Show So thank you for your support. Of course, you can always find those links on our website at coder.show, or it's just coder.show/membership or /boost, because you can boost from the web now.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Mr. Dominic, as we go on the air, a story is developing. It seems that Apple has capitulated in an argument with Epic Games. Tim Sweeney has finally won a battle with Apple.
Hey, you got to get there sometime.
I guess. So I guess it started as, no, this ain't happening. And then Apple had to reverse a decision on like Friday of last week, I guess. But I think it all came down to they had a game update coming. It had this app store in there that, all of the background on this, that part of it. And simply Apple took issue with some of the language used inside where this app store where you could, quote, install and, quote, in-app purchases. And they said naming conventions like that conflict with the Apple apps and cause confusion, and then rejected the app. Tim Sweeney took to Twitter, as he do, Weapon X, and, did like a long thread. He writes, Apple has rejected our Epic Game Store notarization submission twice now, right? They're just trying to notarize it. I should make that clear. This wasn't actually App Store rejection. They were just trying to get it notarized, claiming the design and position of Epic's install button is too similar to Apple's, quote, get button, and that our, quote, in-app purchases label is too similar to Apple's in-app purchases label. We're using the same install and in-app purchases naming conventions that are used across popular app stores on multiple platforms, and are following standard conventions for buttons in iOS apps, and we're just trying to build a store that mobile users can easily understand, and the disclosure of in-app purchases is a regulatory best practice followed by all stores nowadays. In the last tweet, Apple's rejection is arbitrary, obstructive, and in violation of the DMA, and we've shared our concerns with the European Commission. Barring further roadblocks from Apple, we remain ready to launch in the Epic Games Store and on Fortnite on iOS in the EU in the next couple of months. So it seemed like it was going to be another standoff. He was going to be talking to the Commission over there in the EU. And then Apple reverses its decision like a day or two later. They said they, primarily did not like the label of the download button. Apple approved it despite the minor UI issue, allowing Epic Games to proceed with launching its marketplace in the EU. Epic Games plans to launch the store on iOS in the next few months, with Apple's approval potentially speeding up the process. Now, Apple has asked Epic Games to update the UI in a future submission, which they are disputing. Epic is disputing. So they allowed it, even though they don't like it, and they asked them to change it, but it sounds like if they refuse to change it, they're not going to ban them.
So wait, so Apple does capital I, capital A, capital P in-app purchases. Epic did capital I, lowercase a, lowercase p.
Yeah.
And that is the extent of the issue. I mean,
well, and there's like one others, but yeah.
The button is an is an iOS button. Right. So
well, and couldn't you argue that keeping it similar is actually a good thing?
I would argue that this is like two kids in the sandbox pissed off that somebody touched their shovel. Like, Uncle Tim, Little Tim, you guys this is dumb. Like, this is the level of pettiness shown by Apple, like the petulantness of a toddler here. And not just here, but there's been a couple. We didn't talk about the emulation thing where they rejected an emulator, then unrejected it, and then they rejected a different emulator. And they're really just dragging their heels like a bratty toddler. I don't know what to say.
If this were the Jobs era, we would assume that this petulantness was coming from Jobs himself, because it seems so outwardly petulant that it must be ego over logic, but yet here we are.
Well, there's no doubt that there's personal animosity, right? This isn't even Epic Games Corp or whatever it is versus Apple Incorporated. This is like, there are personal relationships here that are frankly dysfunctional. Although I will defend Epic because I honestly don't like Fortnite, but I think it's a stupid money sink.
Oh God, tell me about it. You can't even customize your character until you buy stuff.
Yeah, I got my kid the Lego. They did like a Lego.
Oh.
It's like I thought I was a drunk sorority girl at a frat party. It was terrible.
I played Fortnite when it first came out, and I remember thinking, interesting idea. And then I played it about a month ago because the kids are getting sucked into it, and I wanted to just check it out again. And immediately at the first screen, you're like, they try to upsell you. It is so rife with upsells now.
I hate that game. It's stupid. Oh my! I'm just getting so tired of hearing Apple just be like, they pretend like they're not one of the richest companies, if not the richest, depending on the day, company in the world. They're just so bitchy, and it just shows you what a good business model being the middleman is and taking 30% of all these other.
Yeah,
because that is really what this is about. And I also would note that none of this matters for us in the States because Apple continues its frankly, Night King level ice grip on its monopoly in the U.S.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll tell you, I think it's creating more and more Android users. I know you think that's silly, but for a certain technical class of user, I think people just get sick and tired of being told what they can and can't do with their computer. And on Android, I have this app called Obtainium, and it completely strips away the need for an app store altogether. You directly pull the APK down from GitHub projects pages, from the release page on GitHub. You can update your apps. You can check the release notes. You manage it all right there. You can search for repositories inside the app. And you don't need repos, you don't need an app store, or anything. If there's just a handful of open source APKs you want, it's very easy. A lot of even closed source Android apps are available as an APK. And then for the handful stuff that isn't, I'll use the Play Store. But having that optionality and being able to bypass the Play Store in case they ever start jerking people around like Apple does gives me a peace of mind. It gives me what is a sense of ownership over the device, and I really like the way that feels. Like I really, truly own my cell phone.
Yeah, but you have green bubbles. That's not acceptable.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny you say that. I have been experimenting. I would not necessarily recommend it for a casual, but if you're somebody who, maybe has a spare Mac or is really good at a Mac VM.
Oh, I know what
you can get it running 24/7. I've been using Blue Bubbles.
Nice.
And it works. It actually works really, really well. In fact, the Blue Bubbles client, the app, has more features than iMessage on iOS has currently. Like, it already has scheduled messages and individual reminders per message and a lot of nice little things. But you do need to set up you have to set up on a Mac, and to get full functionality, you have to take the Mac out of protected mode and give it private API access. So you got to make that decision. You got to have a Mac running 24/7 to make it work.
Right. So once you drink the goat's blood, you're ready to go.
Yeah. But you can use Blue Bubbles on an Android and have full-on iMessage conversations. I'm about week 2 now into using it on the daily, and it's working well. But I have a dedicated laptop set up at the studio, always running iMessage, so it can sync that stuff. But I have some good news. I just figured, today's the day we're just going to stack up on the calories and eat some bacon, and I brought some summer-flavored smoked Pacific Northwest bacon with a little bit of sea salt in it.
Ooh.
And I got a HomePod rumor for you.
I don't believe you.
A big HomePod, too. Now, this is going by some code that was found in tvOS 18. You know how this always happens. People sleuth through all this and find things. And it looks like there's something in the code named Plasterboard, which is a new touchscreen interface. Its support is in tvOS 18 Beta 3. And it looks like it might be some sort of support for some sort of hybrid home device that has a touchscreen. It includes a lock screen with a touch-based keyboard. And the rumors are suggesting that there might already be prototypes because Apple analyst Ming-Chiao Kuo leaked pictures of a HomePod, a big HomePod, the old original HomePod, with a 7-inch touch display on the top. So they took out that Orbi Globe thing and put a touch display in there. And it's likely to ship in the second half of 2024. There's also some code references to a new, quote, home accessory that has an A18 chip and would likely be the chip that would be used in this new HomePod. And so I linked to the pictures in the show notes if people are curious. But I got to tell you, Mike, I know this is stupid as I just went on a whole Pixel Android rant, but man, I would buy another couple of these HomePods if they updated these things. If they kept the HomePod going, I'd be so happy.
I wish they would. Yeah.
I have been on a journey to replace them, just kind of casually looking, and I don't like any of the alternatives that I find. So
I have, like you, I had like an inventory of HomePods in a closet somewhere.
I still have one more in a box.
I have one more. I'm down to one too.
Okay.
But these guys are going down hard, right? Like they seem to last about 2 to 3 years. I've been looking at going Sonos, but it's just I just love the HomePod.
They sound great. They're simple. They're, one cord actually can be really nice, especially where you're putting them. They integrate super nice into Apple TV for surround sound. Also, AirPlay is definitely, in my opinion, superior to Chromecast. Not only because it's on the LAN, but
it's the AirPlay factor that's kind of keeping me.
I agree.
In. Yeah.
Also, they save lives.
Oh God!
So a dog late at night. There's the family actually caught video. I'll put a link in the show notes. A family caught video. Their big old dumb dog wanted to sniff some packages that were left on the stove because, like I have here at the studio, they have like one of those flat glass top stoves. I think so. It always ends up a nice available horizontal surface. So the doggo, you can see it in the video, he crawls up to sniff what's going on. He's a big doggo. And while he's up there sniffing, he turns on the heater or the burner. And you can see the packages start turning bright red. He gets down, the doggo walks off, and within a minute, the whole kitchen is on fire. and the smoke detector starts going off, but the family, for whatever reason, doesn't hear it. I don't know if it's a big house or what. But the frickin' sound recognition in the HomePod picks up the smoke alarm, because, you can pick up several kinds of sounds, detects the smoke alarm, sends notifications to all of the phones in the family group and watches in the family group, warning them of the fire. They get up. It wakes them up. They grab an extinguisher and water and manage to put the fire out before the fire department arrives and save the house. See? So it saves lives. Now, you tell me that HomePod wasn't worth $300, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Oh, God. Your life, your kids' lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 300 square deal.
What do you do with the dog, though?
I think the dog is going to have a tough conversation.
The dog's sleeping outside.
Well, it's like the fall detection on the Apple Watch. Like, it sounds a little silly to, younger folks. But if you have elderly parents that you care for, that's kind of a killer feature. Plus, it takes their oxygen intake. If you get a new one, it takes their heart rate. There's a lot to like.
I have the 14, and that was the first model to get the satellite SOS. And it gives me a little peace of mind when I'm out in the woods hiking or whatever we're doing, and I don't have any cell signal, but I see that little satellite SOS on there. It's like, okay, well, if anything happens, at least I can do that.
Well, I have I think a 13. I guess I have the one before you because I don't have the satellite, but it has all the heart stuff, the EKG stuff, the heart rate monitoring. I got to tell you, it's incredibly valuable to me, and I can go on my iPhone and just pull the report and give it to the doc. I bought most of my older relatives Apple Watches, and I told them if they switch to Android, I'm not fixing their anymore. So
yeah, I have been. I think I'm on week 2 also of experimenting with a Garmin watch that offers a lot of the same features, but obviously the UI is really different. It's kind of button based, and but it does have this, and this is an AMOLED version. 7 days of battery life.
Oh, that's nice.
And I guess the non-AMOLED maybe even get like 12.
Yeah, my Apple Watch is like a half a day now. That's the only problem.
Yeah, mine was starting to fall off too. So let's talk about this Google stuff. This is still developing as we go on the air, so that's why it's kind of in the bacon section, but it seems very likely that it's true. Lucas Castagnetto on X posted that Google Chrome gives all google.com domains full access to the system, tab, CPU usage, GPU usage, and memory usage information. So when you go to anything that ends in a google.com domain, so mail or any of their domains, they get all your memory usage, they get access to detailed processor information. It's essentially a logging back channel. It's an API that is not exposed to any other site except for the Google domains, and it seems to be done through a built-in Chrome extension that cannot be disabled and does not show up in your extensions panel. And he links us to the source code, and the name of the extension is hangout_resource or services. So if you were to see this extension anyways, if you were to come across it, you think, oh, this is some built-in Google junk for Hangout, or AKA what was now known as Google Meet or whatever, right? That's what I would have thought. But in actuality, this is the extension they're activating to get all kinds of information about. Oh, I'm looking at it right now, actually. You can see it right here where it just allows anything at star.google.com. And they can get desktop capture, so this is the permissions it gets. It gets the ability to take a screenshot. I'm just reading it right here. I'm reading the source code right here. Desktop screenshot. It gets your enterprise hardware platform, your active processes, your system.cpu information, your WebRTC audio private information, your WebRTC desktop capture the private information. I don't know what that means. And the WebRTC logging private. That's the information this thing gets to pull. And that's version 2, and here's a new version. New version seems to have all of the same stuff. Yeah, looks like it's all the same stuff. Nothing new added or taken away. Wow, this is creepy to actually see it right here in the actual source. Because it's just an extension, and that's just JavaScript. So I didn't actually, that's just, it's gross, man. When you see that, it's actually kind of disturbing. Maybe it's something else. Who knows? It's unclear at this point really what all this is. And also, Luca looked at this. It seems unclear if this extension ships by default in other Chromium-derived browsers as we're recording. We don't know, and I don't know if this is going to get the exposure that it deserves. But reading through it, and we'll put a link in the show notes, it leaves me pretty unsettled. I hope it's something not as awful as what this looks like, because it looks like a great way to identify people and track them is what it looks like.
No. They would
I hope
never.
it's not that. No, I know, but that's where the noodle goes when you see this kind of stuff from Google.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, I'd say it's disappointing, but I mean, right? Chrome is effectively your OS in most cases, and I don't care. I'll die on that hill. I do most of the work I'm doing is targeting Linux servers and Chrome, and yeah. What can I say?
Does everything now. Mm-hmm.
4 boosts to go.
All right, we got some boosts, and I do mean that we got some great boosts from a bunch of you out there, and we're going to start with Zaballer boost because the war over the official language for the Coda Radio program continues, and we got a big vote from Mr. Wes Payne.
A little unfair.
74,656 sats. He says we can't let Go take the official show language spot. So here's some Voyager sats for a language might actually use, which is Elixir.
Wow. Wes is so plugged into where all the Rubyists went. They went to Elixir. They use, I think it's Phoenix? I'm not super familiar, but it does have his mathy vibe. All right, I'll have to... Well, did we put a time limit on this?
Well, it's really who just sends in the most sats. They get to until somebody else beats it. And here's the problem. Before you get too excited about Elixir...
There's coffee in that nebula.
Thank you for the Voyager boost there.
Yeah, thanks, Wes.
Sovakin came in also with a mean 49,999 sats.
I hoard
Jesus.
that which your kind covet.
And here's the problem, is his sats are going towards keeping Golang official.
Ah, this is a hamsters.
So when you add that to last week's boost, I think it means Golang is ahead still.
Well, where are the crab people? I'm shocked.
I know. So I think, to beat... I think you'd have to send in like 150,000. I don't know what it would be. Maybe 150,000. I don't know.
Well, we do have an off week because we're doing a double, so maybe I'll have
yeah.
to do a Golang thing unless we have more boosts. But
yeah. I mean, we could definitely pivot to talking exclusively about Go.
I didn't say
Call it
that.
the Golang Radio.
Nope.
And then we could have Go Heads and
Jesus Christ.
yeah, right. We could. Oh man, we could work this out. We could.
Then I'm going to start
workshop
singing the
this.
Inspector Gadget's theme song. Go, Gadget, go!
There's
There's our DMCA notice for the week. Magnolia Mayhem does 5,678 boosts from Fountain, Chris's favorite app. Sorry.
Make it so.
I love me the Fountain. They got some great features coming out soon.
Also putting in for Coderly, even if it's negative, it's good to know what's going on. Yeah, but I don't want to break your soul, man.
I mean, that's I think that's the second vote for putting it out there, though.
I mean, people do pay for like Johnny Cash albums, so I'm just saying.
That's a great point. And I've been everywhere, man. That's a great point. All right, I think I'll try to do it between now and next week's episode. So that probably means...
Well, that would be good because we have the off week, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Bola Para comes in with 5,000 sats.
Uh-oh, you know what that is?
Use a boost!
Jar Jar Boost.
He provided no message.
That was Mario. That was
Jar
not
Jar Mario, it's a fine line, okay? But thank you.
It is, isn't it?
All right.
It is.
God. T-Boy Nobara comes in with also 5,000 sats.
Use a boost.
He's a boost for the 800-pound gorilla episode. I don't know why Jar Jar's German now. I'm just off my game today. He says, good analogy how mindsets change in years in the name of evolution of the economy. I
wonder what we were talking about.
I
It
don't
sounds
recall
insightful.
what he's referencing.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
It sounds really smart, like some kind of Austrian economic stuff right there. Damn.
I hope so.
Yeah, boost in again, because we need money.
Yeah.
And tell us what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm going to like this one. Swiftoid writes in 4,321 sats.
Coming in hot with the boost.
Hey guys, I finally made the effort needed to be able to boost. I've been enjoying the show for years, mainly because of Jar Jar. Love this boost. Use a boost. He's the real star. Use a right. Just wanted to say hi and see if you've any more sci-fi book recommendations. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. It's been a while. I can recommend Jack Campbell's Lost Fleet. I'm not familiar with Mr. Campbell.
Oh,
but
yeah, sure.
You are?
Sure. Yeah. I haven't started it yet, but I've seen it. Also, congratulations on taking the journey to get the boost set up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm curious how you're. Oh, he said Fountain app. I'm sorry. He said he's boosting the Fountain.
There you go. That's usually the most strange.
See, this is my like junior boost reader thing, so I'm trying. Okay, gotta bear with me.
Book series. You got a good book series?
Do I? Of course.
We've talked about the Bob universe, right? We've talked about that on the show.
We have. Yep.
Okay, good.
You know what? I'm going to represent Florida today. The Area X trilogy, although a fourth one is now coming out apparently next year, by Jeff Vandermeer, a Florida native. It involves a lot of creepy.
Mm.
The trilogy is Annihilation, Authority, Acceptance. Those are the three names of the three books. And there's actually a movie made very loosely after Annihilation, starring Natalie Portman. So,
oh, okay,
really good books. Very weird. He's also got a book called Dead Astronauts, which is even weirder. Like I had to reread chapters twice because it was mind bending, but good stuff. So.
Bartlett James makes the Relentless series, which is a military space opera, and I kind of enjoy sort of drifting off to those because they can sometimes be like a little intricate in the process, not overly so. We're not talking like 3 pages to describe a tree, but just like, stuff that helps me kind of drift off from time to time, but I've been enjoying it. And it's also narrated by Mark Boyett, I think is how you say his name, and he's just a great narrator. And Audible, at least, sells it as one big box set. So you can get all the books in one file, and it's like a 25-hour file. And I'm about 40% through that. It's not my favorite read ever, but I've been enjoying it enough that I would recommend it on air. I think it's worth checking out.
Can I throw another one in?
Yeah.
By an author named N.K. Jemisin. I hope I said her name right. The City We Became. It is really good. It's a kind of in a Lovecraftian cosmic horror theme. Basically, I don't want to spoil too much, but basically R'lyeh, or like the older gods, the elder gods, whatever, world is laying over New York and Long Island and causing all kinds of trouble. And
I would imagine it would.
There's a group of I think they're all women actually, but they're women who are trying to prevent this because they embody their respective boroughs. Not shockingly, Staten Island turns traitor. Sorry, but I lived in New Jersey and I have thoughts. So yeah, great book. All right, I got one more. Oh, how many more? I have more. Chris, I'm on a roll.
Yeah, you are.
Torched Escape. I'm assuming ESC means escape.
Yeah, that's listener Jeff.
It's a boost. 5,000. He's going back to 577, the Holy Order of Admins. He's also using Fountain.
Heyo.
He says, my lady uses character AI daily, ... Damn near addicted to it. Okay, this might take a turn. I tried to sign up something for her to use privately and couldn't get her to switch. It's the story aspect she loves, also messing with the characters to get them to say funny things. So,
somebody else I know screws around with the AI and tries to get them to say funny things.
Yeah, I'm just doing that for the clicks, though, bro.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, what were you like? She's like, I'll just sit down and have a little chat with Gemini, and I'll just sit here and bull. Is that what it was? Because it just seems like you were just,
I just both.
I
talk about my old passion that I rarely get to use anymore is I have a lit degree, right? Medieval lit, and I had a great conversation with OpenAI just this weekend about doing comparative analysis of characters from classic literature, like so I did Heart of Darkness, right? Mr. Kurtz, right? Colonel Kurtz, and Batman.
Oh,
and I got into an hour-and-a-half argument with OpenAI about how maybe Kurtz isn't that crazy.
Wow.
And maybe Batman's in fact more crazy.
Well,
that pop analysis, I would have called that garbage when I was fancy. But now I'm like, you know what? This is how people like this. Okay, this is way into crazy Mike territory, but I honestly believe the superhero crap are basically our version of the Greek gods. So
I can see it. Maybe not as it doesn't seem as quite as elegant, but
a lot less rapey.
I find it. I don't know. I guess I find it interesting, because he uses terms like she loves it, and messaging with the characters. I do, and then we've also heard stories here and there that there's like the AI chat apps that do seem to be the most successful on the iOS App Store are the ones that pretend to be a girlfriend.
pretty spicy.
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting that people seem to be willing to accept the fact that they're talking to a machine like yourself and still enjoy the conversation.
I would argue that OpenAI, ChatGPT 4.0, is not that awesome at coding. I just gotta say, like, it's been wrong a lot recently. And pretty good when it comes to literature. And I'm pretty sure it's because it just goes through the Gutenberg library, then pirates whatever else it needs.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, it actually seems like it could be particularly good at that. Yeah, like that seems like a strength.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Torch's email here or boost here, I mean, if she's having fun and it's not a problem, I guess it's not a problem. I know I found out after last week's show that my teenage stepdaughter and her gal pals all use character AI, and they make the characters into characters from their favorite like anime and TV shows. And they try to get them to say like crazy things that they then send to each other. So I don't know. If it's harmless fun, it's harmless fun. Getting hooked is a bad thing with anything.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like it's going to last. It sounds like something you do for 6 months, maybe at most.
Well, it sounds like I'd like to see a P&L on character AI because they got to be spending a ton of money and not making it.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
But I don't.
Absolutely.
I mean, I will tell you that I used to have a World of Warcraft problem, and every once in a while I go back to it. It's easy to get caught in this stuff. Just, you know, if your lady's okay, I don't know if that means wife or whatever, but if it's harmless, it's harmless. It's just you touch grass sometimes is all I'd say.
Wise.
Okay, healthcare anon. Ah, yes. November, the 5th of November. Let's all celebrate. I heard anon. I get to say that. Oh, so he comes in with 4,444 sats. Nice.
Yeah. I think that's a double duck.
Okay. He's also writing in for the Holy Order of the Admins. And he says, speaking of infrastructure, I have good news to report that the last 2 months there's been a flurry of activity to move off our old infrastructure into our parent company's cloud. Cool. The straw that broke the camel's back was the Cisco ASA vulnerability. Ah, yes. That makes tons of sense. Long story short, our only way into the data center was the Cisco box, and upgrading it involved the data center tech letting us remote into his laptop to run a serial console. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, okay, I'll go plug in and you'll just remote into my box and then control the remote terminal through a remote desktop.
Just wonderful. After that experience, our number one priority has been migrating systems to the cloud. No more RHEL 5 and OpenBSD 5.4 for us. Cheers.
Yeah, you got to wonder, like, how much of the cloud migration comes from systems that are just so old. It's like, well, we're going to do so much work to rebase these. We might as well just go to cloud infrastructure. That's got to be a calculus that happens a lot.
I got to say that may not have been the highest sats for the week, but that was the funniest one we got so far.
I feel that one, too.
Yeah.
I feel that
one.
Oh,
that's like, just something access. All right, Ready One Take 4 comes in with 10,000 sats.
Yeah.
No note, though, so.
Oh. Well, thank you for the value. Or if we missed your note, let us know.
Yes, if somehow it's not in the doc. Okay, Ginformatique?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what I go with.
Okay. 4,000 sats.
All right.
Good customers are as rare as latinum. Treasure them.
Damn it, now I'm going to have a drink for the next show, courtesy of my good friend Quark.
Quark, yeah.
All right, so his first boost says, hi, Chris and Mike. For all the people out there still needing a solution to run Adobe Flash SFW files on Linux, I came across a great alternative. I'm going to interrupt him here. The alternative is don't.
Yeah.
But I'll read his boost anyway. Ganache or Ganache. Well,
yeah, Ganache.
The GNOME people can tell us if I'm saying this right. Is no longer in the Ubuntu repo since 2004. Come on, guys.
Uh-oh.
Please check Okay, he's got with a .rs domain. I love it. It's a browser extension or Linux executable. Привет.
You know, right now the domain isn't loading. I'll have to say.
I
wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to read the rest of it out. Then you could load old SFW files to run Flash games and tools from the past, along with some malware, no doubt. That's me commentating. Maybe there are some business industry out there still running WinXP offline. Oh my God, they are, dude. I know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Now they can run modern Linux OS with Flash content.
Yeah, that'd be a nice dream.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get some vodka and do that. Okay, his next boost, also to resurrect some Flash compiled in EXE format. Yes!
Happens. It happens.
Let's do it.
Yes.
There is this page giving a Python script, sfw.py. Now, does this load, and do I want to open it in my browser?
I think the answer is of course.
It does not
right?
load.
Oh.
Okay. Well, those links don't work. But yeah, I mean, I can imagine there's lots of people who have legacy Flash applications that are pretty upset.
Yes. It's rough. Boy, I'm glad there's options, you know? That's nice. I mean, the links aren't loading right now, but I believe you that they are real things.
Yeah, we believe you. We're just teasing. All right, so at BHH32 comes with 10,000 sats.
Oh.
Good.
Was that me?
No, that's Zach Brannigan.
Oh, okay.
That's Zap, yeah.
That's horrible. He's writing in regarding the Holy Order of Admins show, and he's again from Fountain.
Uh-huh.
I will say that he is a rich guy. I don't know who he is. So, of course, he doesn't change his own oil or tires. He pays someone to do that for him. I think he means me.
No.
Probably never cease. Developers will always be needed. How else do we ensure we keep our thumb on our AI overlords?
Hey-oh, somebody's got to do it. No,
yeah.
we played a clip from, I want to say it was Larry Summers.
Oh, that's right.
And he was talking about how you shouldn't teach anybody to code, just like you don't have to teach anybody how to change their own oil.
Larry Summers famously thought Facebook wasn't worth anything. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. And I'm also a fan of changing your own oil. I suggest people do it. So there's that.
I have a broken down 2018 Chevy right now. I consulted 2 different Chevy dealers who gave me 2 radically different diagnoses.
Oh, yeah?
Each thousands of dollars. Man. I'm okay with having, like, more of an electrified car that doesn't have these moving parts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I'm very much looking forward to not having to deal with oil changes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still some fluids.
Yeah.
But
All right. So, Psycob Bob, which sounds
I think it's Psycho.
Oh, Psycho Bob comes in with 10,000 sats.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Thank you, Bob.
He says, here's my +1 for releasing the quarterly. All right. I think the people have spoken.
Yep. I think that's
it. We're unlike the Electoral College, we're actually going to count your vote.
Yep.
All right. Torped writes in with 5,150 sats.
I don't know.
Damn. Holy Order of Admins show comment. He says, your discussion on tests made me think of a real-time flight control software in the avionics industry. That's terrifying. Tests are designed as integral components of the software architecture. How would you like the flight control software written on planes you ride?
How would you like it? I guess
I'd like it to work.
When I think about software that runs planes, I think about very conservative development that is extremely tested rigorously before it's put into production. And then when it's put into production, it's phased out slowly. It's phased in slowly.
Do I have stories I could tell you?
Oh,
so I just want to say that as of yesterday, a in-flight United Boeing 757 literally dropped a tire at like 5,000 feet.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad. The Boeing, and they're also pleading guilty to multiple criminal charges.
I know. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So I will tell you that if they were a real person, like a person with a heart and circulatory system, and they were convicted of causing the death of a number of people, they would be ineligible for all those sweet, sweet government contracts. But I have a feeling they're going to skirt that somehow.
Yeah. I think that's very likely.
Yes. Yeah. Moving on to VT52. He comes in with 4,000 sats. Pew! Okay, untitled episode, so that means nothing. I'm a senior dev, and GitHub Copilot is really hit or miss. Correct. Half the time, suggestions are hallucinated garbage. Mm-hmm. Quote, you need to get a frob, and all you have is a glorb. Just call frob, I guess it's C++, what do you call those? : from glorb, dummy. But of course, no such message exists. Yeah, because that's why it was hard for me to read. It does save me a bit of time doing boilerplate, fair. But overall, I think my effectiveness is 5% better. But my what the yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair, right? GitHub Copilot makes it up all the time. That doesn't make sense. He comes in with another boost. My bet on the developer hiring pause is a simple hedge against the uncertain economy, cutting expenses to shore up the balance sheet. True. There's no way that AI system L makes for a 2x output. Yeah, it doesn't. Right? That's I think we've been running this experiment long enough that I don't know. I don't think Copilot's going to take anybody's job.
I thought it was going to 100x everybody.
I don't think so.
You know? Oh.
I think I think the sweet spot's going to be automated testing. I really do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and fuzz testing, like, app usage, like I was saying earlier, I think that could be really nice. That could work really well.
Or let's be honest, telemetry and creepy tracking. It's going to be great.
Oh.
All right. At DQ, at PTC writes in with 15,000 sats.
The traders love the vol.
At DG, are you thinking about DQ? Are you thinking about Dairy Queen over there?
I'm just really
Ice cream
hungry.
does sound real good right now. So, yeah.
All right. He's got 3 different boosts. Damn, you guys are really cheating the boost system. AI testing was my first hope with Copilot and ChatGPT. Unfortunately, it's only good at generating small tests, i.e. unit tests, and not larger, more useful ones, integration or regression tests, since the token input limits restrict how much code can be covered when generating tests. Fair-ish. The biggest AI test wins are probably being had on teams with unreasonable test coverage mandates. Yeah, I totally believe that. 100% test coverage on a Node app means lots of testing for null returns, which is perfect for AI. Yeah, I'm pretty sure ChatGPT excels at the tests that are basically adding type checking to Ruby or Python.
Yeah.
Okay.
Concur.
Yeah. All right, moving on to a second boost. By the way, Larry Summers is dead wrong. You cannot copy-paste Gen AI code. Correct. But you can use creative output as is when correctness matters. ChatGPT and Copilot are not good enough, though it can help experienced people work faster. Yeah, this is similar to what other people wrote.
Yep.
It's with the subjective works that generative AI is able to completely displace people as long as you aren't looking for anything new. Sure. Last boost from him is, if AI were really making programming obsolete, I'd expect all the senior devs to get laid off and replaced by entry-level Copilot subscriptions. Obviously not what's happening, right? So what we're seeing happen is it's harder to break in as a junior dev now, and senior devs are still making Boku bucks for the most part. And that's what he says. As far as you can tell, that's not happening. Right? It's not. It's never been harder to be a brand new green junior dev. We have more sats. Jesus, Chris.
I know, this is a big episode.
Right.
I think we did we do a double? Is that what?
I don't know.
And we're not. Yeah, it's great too, because this really has to cover for next week. So we appreciate it.
All right, MNFTS, which I'm assuming means Minecraft file system. I'm making that up.
I like
Gives
it.
us 5,000 sats from Podverse, but no comment. So we'll thank you for the sats.
You know what that is?
Put some macaroni and cheese on there, too.
It's actually a Jar Jar boost, but I just wanted to change it up.
I like it. At Infergo also does 5,000 sats for the Holy Order of Admins via Fountain. And he says, the CTO of my company actually did an experiment with TDD and generative AI. This really resonated with people, huh? This testing.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm
happy people are giving us feedback on this.
Yeah, though, maybe we should talk about it more. And presented about it at DevOps UK. TDD and generative AI are perfect pairing by some Boke Ninjus. I can't say that. I'm sure they're Dutch or something. I apologize. Personally, I don't see a use case for AI encoding at all, but I found the experiment quite interesting to see. Still won't use AI to write my test, though. Yeah, a lot of skepticism here.
I think it's fair.
I think it's fair too.
And I wonder if it's one of those things that when we give it a few years, we'll change our opinion on. It's totally possible. You give this thing a few years, you train it. Red Hat's got some tools that let you actually like take an LLM and retrain it with something new and update it and then rebuild it. And maybe as that stuff gets more generally available, we'll get these things to a point once we've iterated them enough where they're quite useful. It'll just take a few years. Maybe also the resources required come down a little bit. Sumrock comes in with 10,000 sats.
Tough little ship. Little.
Part 1, I've definitely seen my peers, both junior and senior, use AI to write unit tests whole hog. Sometimes it's literally pasting a class into ChatGPT followed by write a unit test for this. Other times it's just adding a code commit to the top of a file in an editor equipped with Copilot. Something like, quote, the following is a series of unit tests for a class A. And then Copilot fills out the actual code. Personally, I think the only value there is to give yourself a false sense of security. I do use Copilot in NeoVM, but I always think about it in the way Michael described years ago. Copilot is basically your hilariously drunk wingman in a bar at 2 a.m. Sometimes he's got great ideas, but many times those ideas are either ill-informed or disastrous. But in all seriousness, good testing is a mark of a true senior. Knowing you're testing too much or too little, and knowing how to write the test for intent is not something AI will master anytime soon. Oh, that's a banger.
Yeah, it's a banger. I mean, that does seem to be the, at least my experience and the consensus, right? Like AI, it's good when it's good, but when it's bad, it's bad. It is our drunk buddy Tim at the bar at 2 a.m.
Thank you, Sumrock. Appreciate that. Okay. Last one. Do you want to do it?
I'll take it, sure. At user
Yeah.
10876632 of the Borg Collective. I don't know if you're really a Borg, but with a name like that, you have no choice. You are assimilated now, so sorry about that. He comes in with 2,222 rows of beautiful duck sats.
Yeah, they are.
All right. Hey, guys, great show. Here are a boost, and FYI, ChatGPT is... God damn. You guys are spicy on this ChatGPT stuff, huh? All right. He says, hey, guys, great show, and here is a boost. And FYI, ChatGPT is just a Google search married to a wiki database, in which it's great to get info, but take it with a grain of salt. And where all the info is questionable and moderate. Well, I don't know what you mean by moderate, because ChatGPT has some very strong opinions about Batman. I just tell you that right now. But yeah, it's an LLM, right? It's reading through a collection of data that it has. That collection is very large. It may or may not be reading GitHub repos. It definitely is. Yeah. I don't know, Chris. What do you think?
You know, it's great for really complicated questions that suck at search. And so, like, usually it's like with gardening, for example, we'll find it really useful for something that's really specific to our region, this particular type of tomato plant, and the particular thing we're seeing on the leaf. And it can be really useful for identifying that kind of stuff. And in fact, there's some apps that have come out now where, and I forget the name of it because I wasn't the one using it, where we can take pictures of different stuff in the garden and we can say, okay, is that a weed or is that actually something we planted? And it can identify, the particular type of plant or weed that it is. And that's really useful. But like when you're really kind of always walking a line of potentially getting bad advice. So you do have to kind of double check it. So a lot of times if it's something serious, I'll take what it says and then I'll go do my own research to see if I can prove or disprove it or whatever. But I don't do it every time when it's something simple like, how much water does this tomato plant need? Because that's probably something that's more generally available and there's more consensus for it to drive.
Yeah, like on DuckDuckGo. Seriously, like, or Google. Cool. So we have a total of 238,069 sats. I hope I read that number
Yeah, that
right.
ain't bad. Hey, thank you, everybody. It was great hearing from everybody. We didn't ask a specific question for the boost, but we'd still love to get your feedback because next week we're going to pre-record that. We're live right now and about to pre-record that. So we won't have any boosts. But when we get back, we'd love to have some messages to read and have some support for that episode. So please do consider boosting in. You can do it from the web at coder.show/boost or use the Fountain app. People seem to be really liking that because the onboarding process is really straightforward. And they integrate with the Strike app, which is available in 100 countries, including the UK and the EU. It's a great company. And right now they have like no fees for grabbing the sats. You could instantly send them so you don't have to worry about holding Bitcoin or anything like that. You're just essentially using it as a payment technology when you stack all this stuff together. It's a great way to support independent media directly with no company that can say no to us or just need to hold on to things while they investigate. And of course, a big shout out to our members. You can look forward to that Coder QA coming soon. And you always get, of course, the ad-free version of the Coder program. Details at coder.show/membership. Mr. Dominic, is there anywhere you want to send all these great people before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm very lazily on Twitter at Dumanuko, and you can check out themadbotter.com or alice.dev. I'm back in the development cycle. I think we'll talk about it a little next show. So I'm going to have another thing, hopefully in a month or two, maybe.
I mean, I'm surprised you're just not leaning into that Weapon X branding,
Weapon
You coined that. You should own it.
I forgot. You know why Twitter is just so hard-coded in my brain now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I still want to call it a tweet.
I do too.
Not a post. Yeah. At Chris LES over there if you want it. At Coder Radio Show if you want it. You can find me at chrisles.com on the Nostr network. I don't really do the Masto, but I am in the Coder Matrix. Details at coder.show/matrix. Now, we won't be live next week, but of course, if you just subscribe to the RSS feed, You'll get the weekly show, as always, delivered fresh in your RSS catcher. Thank you, everybody, for joining this week's episode. Links over at coder.show/578, and we'll see you right back here next week.
The hell out of here.